Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Lisa. I'm an IBCLC and a CLC that focuses and specializes on oral function and pumping. And today we are going to be embarking on the Eufy S1 Pro review. If you've been around my channel before, then you will know that I am the most in-depth review you will ever find on a pump. Utilize the chapters that I have automatically set for you. It'll jump you around to any part that you want to actually know about the pump. And if you need this in written form, there will be a blog link in the description below, basically communicating the exact same information that you need. I will add the disclaimer that I am an affiliate with them. They did give me a discount code for the pump. All of that information is down in the description if you decide that this is the winning pump for you. The only other disclaimer that I have is that Eufy did provide this pump to me, but not for the purposes of content or anything like that. They asked me specifically to do some testing on some things for them, to which I happily did, and that has long since been done and over. In fact, they don't even know that I'm doing this review. They're seeing it the same time you are. If you've been watching me previously, then you know that I stand by a company will never alter my content or reviews. They don't get access to that, and they never will. Let's dig in to the actual meat and potatoes of this review and get started. Starting up, like always, is going to be design and durability. Thankfully, this pump is making my life a lot easier, so we can combine those two. Design is actually impressive. It looks like a lot of other pumps on the market, right? This is the S32 body model, so that just means that the actual shape and design of the pump is a model from the manufacturer. We just call it the S32. There's a ton of them on the market. However, Eufy has actually been able to take this design, make it work for them, and truly change and innovate a lot about it. And I do mean a lot. So, because manufacturers have a baseline, the companies then get to choose whether or not they want to modify anything and how they do it. We do typically have hiccups, usually with companies modifying designs, so we can kind of see wonky, outcomes. But that is where I will give Eufy credit. They're really shining in this market for that. They were able to go in, modify a magnetic charging top for the charging case and magnetic chargers. They were able to go in and modify for heated flanges. They've even modified for their diaphragm, their suction and cycle speeds, how the pump performs, all the way around. They have really done a number on this pump in the most positive way that they could. I have to stress that just because we do see so many pumps that, again, they look the exact same. They all function pretty similar, or they all have the exact same design flaw. And that strictly comes down to the limitations of the company and to whether or not they can or are willing to test modifications, or if they even have the skill set and the team to be able to do those modifications and offer the support on those changes. Another thing about it is the S32 body style has actually been proven to be very durable. So they picked a really durable baseline and then just improved on that. Realistically, we don't see the Eufy dying. It does really, really well. If a pump is going to be dying, it's typically because it was brutally murdered by like a raw fit or a flange fit. I will say most of the time their updates go off without a hitch, but there have been a few pump casualties with their biggest updates, like the DIY programming that they released. It offed some of the older model S1 Pros, and I can say that because, well, it offed mine. But again, it was actually very slim how many they actually killed, and anyone that was still within warranty absolutely got honored for that. Moving on, teardowns and patents. I have a teardown video. I will link that above and down in the description below if you want to refresh on that. And then for patents, I'm just going to give you the highlighted ones for Eufy. They actually have quite a few. I was grabbing all these patent links for y'all. There's some other patents that they've got. Maybe they've got a new pump in the works. We'll see. I'll do a separate video on that. Overheating. I'm going to put up some thermal images and let you kind of take a look at all that. Honestly, it doesn't overheat, which is fantastic, especially given that it has heated flanges. I figured the internals would actually be kind of internally roasting themselves. They're really not. They've really mastered the voltage control and the flow of the power throughout the circuitry, which is a very hard thing to find in the pumping market at this point in time. It makes me excited to see solid engineering. As you can tell, I geek out over that. But really, with the heated flange on, the highest I got in terms of on the exterior of the pump that you would be touching was right there where those prongs are. It got up to, I think, 107 to 109, which totally great. When you're considering it's up against your body heat, you're already trying to add heat to the area. That's actually a really safe and totally fine number. You're not going to have any damage from that. Internally, I didn't actually see it go above 100. Everything was really solid on that. Battery life. The pump itself is rated for 2 hours, but with the charging case, they say it's supposed to give you a total of 5 days of a charge. There's not really a way to like break that down and test it because your battery's going to drain based on how high of a suction you're using, how high of heat, if you're using heat, how many times you pump, things like that. I would say realistically 3 to 5 days, depending on how heavily you're using the pump, is probably going to be normal. They do come with a silicone bumper in the case to prevent it from charging at all times. Using that and not charging them all the time will also help the batteries last longer. If you just plug it in to the case and just go about your day and it's just constantly charging to that case, I would say a 3-day max is probably going to be pretty fair. Sound, portability, movability, what are we talking? Thankfully, we're talking quiet. The Eufy, I would put around like the Willow Go kind of sounds, maybe a little bit quieter than Willow Go. Overall, very quiet pump. Still louder than Elvie's, but it's really hard to beat an Elvie at this point in terms of sound. The fantastic part is when Eufy is maxed out, it's still pretty quiet. It's a wearable, so no wires, no tubes, nothing like that hanging out of your bra that makes it trouble on the portability. You're not keeping up with the motor or anything like that. Movability, also pretty good. It is a 5-ounce marked container. You can fill it all the way up. It is actually easier to fill it up than you might expect just because typically you're responding really well to this pump. They do have a little cap for the pour spout. I find it kind of helps in the sense of it'll kind of help divert the milk and give you a little bit of a heads up, right? Overall, it can still leak on you. So you wouldn't want to be like touching your toes, laid back, anything of that nature. You will end up leaking on yourself. But overall, it's about as leak resistant as everything else on the market. The app, the smart features, and the control of the pump, I think really is where Eufy shined. Like, this is where they are currently taking the market by storm, and surprisingly could be sitting on the top before too much longer, if we're being frank. The app is actually great because it incorporates their Eufy mom side, which is your breast pumps, and the Eufy baby side, which is like the baby monitor and the baby sock. I've tested both of those. It's really easy to check on your baby, make sure everything's good, and then pop over and do a pump session. It works really well. It's very clean, very seamless. Inside of the pump app, you, of course, are going to pair your pump like normal. You can turn it on. The fantastic part is you can sync it. Syncing doesn't actually mean that it's going to pull at the same time. Syncing means that you're controlling both at the same time. So if you want the audible pleasure of not hearing one pump and then the other and then the other, then what I recommend is hitting that sync button and turning them on together. That way they're already synced up essentially in that way. If you need to unsync it because you want to turn heat on one side and no heat on the other, you can do that very seamlessly in the app. You can also keep it synced the entire time, turn heat on for both sides. You can control the heat for both or one. You can control the suction for both or one. It functions like butter, like it just smooth. they really took it a whole nother level when they added the DIY programming. That, in my opinion, is the absolute game changer. I love it. So before the DIY programming, Eufy was a fantastic pump. I recommend it for clients, love it for clients. But for me, it just did not hit what I needed. Even though they have a slow, medium, fast on cycle speeds, and they go really high in the suction, we'll get to all that. It wasn't the middle ground that I needed, and it didn't provide the true flexibility and control that I needed to make it a winning pump. As soon as they kicked out that DIY programming and I basically was free to create my own and not be stuck on theirs, world shifted. I have always been a strong Baby Buddha user, a strong Limerick user, Willow generation pump, like the constant suction. I like medium to low cycle speeds and excessively high suction. I'm not the normal for the pump market, and I completely understand and recognize that when I'm doing these reviews and when I'm recommending for clients. But it was just something for me personally, up until that DIY rhythm, the Eufy was not a pump I was picking up. Now, it is the wearable I pick up and use. I absolutely love it at this time. So, the DIY programming, huge game changer. You can use their smart rhythms that they had professionally created specifically by Jessica Anderson of Genuine Lactation. Y'all know that I love her. I know y'all love her. She's fantastic. She created their smart rhythms that they've got for the DIY programming. But then if that's not doing it for you, you can absolutely create your own. And the Baby Buddha users, if you ever wanted a Baby Buddha style wearable pump, you're going to find that in the Eufy. I'm currently testing the Baby Buddha right now. It's falling short, but I can tell you with sheer confidence, you're going to love the Eufy, especially if you use the motif part hacks that we have. 10 out of 10 recommend. So yeah, for the app, the control, and the smart features, you've really got everything you could want. You've got the ability to shut it off. You've got the ability to run your own times. That way, it doesn't matter what the pump is automatically programmed for. You can just do what you want. You can set the suction speed and levels exactly how you want it to mimic other pumps that you're using. It's truly phenomenal. And it all works so seamlessly. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know I'm really not an app kind of gal. I don't like smart pumps with their apps because 9 times out of 10, it bites me in the butt. An app update will kill it, or a software update for the pump will kill it, and it's frustrating. Eufy is by far the only app that I leave on my testing and personal phone. So when I say it runs smooth like butter, I absolutely mean it. And as somebody who is a diehard, not getting me to commit to an app, they managed to pull that off. What are you actually controlling in terms of suction and cycle speed and suction type? The Eufy is like 90% of the pumps on the market. It is a tug and release suction. Love it. Don't hate that. The cycle speeds and the suction levels are actually a phenomenal range. So in terms of suction, you can go anywhere from 70 to 260. That's pretty average across the market. You're not actually losing anything there. And then in speeds, you can go as fast as 102 cycles a minute to as slow as 34 cycles per minute. Fantastic. And it does it smoothly. It's really just a click of which mode you want to use as far as how fast that pump is going for you. For moms that are kicking over from a Medela Symphony that need that faster cycle speed, you can get pretty close. It's not identical. If you're somebody coming over from Baby Buddha that really wants that medium to low, you've got it. It's fantastic. And that is strictly the suction range with their actual parts. So with what they created, there are hacks. I will link Jessica's video down below if you want to know more about those hacks where you can use motif parts for a stronger suction to mimic a Baby Buddha style feel. Or if you need to back that suction down a little bit and it's just a bit too strong, she's also got hacks for that. Absolutely check out Jessica's channel. Sensors and auto shutoffs. There are no sensors on the pump, so it's not going to be reading your milk volume or prevent anything like that. Honestly, I'm not disappointed in it. I've tested a ton of sensors in the pumping market, and none of them are really performing accurately with precision that moms would really want to warrant the price increase that comes with. So there's no sensors on it, which is great because that just means cost savings for you. In terms of auto shut off, like I said, with the app, you can actually make it whatever you want. If you only want it for 10 minutes, if you want it for 25, if you want it for an hour, you have full control of that, and you can do all that within inside the app. Does the pump waddle or roll away? It does not. It is very stationary, and while it's still curved around here, it gets a little flatter, but you can see this little lip right here. That just helps support it, so it's just giving that extra support for standing. You don't have to worry about setting it down on the counter and then it falling over and leaking your milk everywhere. Price and the value. Currently, it is listed for $350 at the time of this video, but with the code down below, it will actually drop it down to about $280 for the pump, which for me, I am happy to pay that $350 any day of the week. But then to get $70 off and get it down to $280, that's a steal, especially when you factor in the charging case for it. It is a phenomenal deal for pumping parents, especially when you consider the very outdated $550 pumps that can't even offer half of what Eufy is providing you through all their smart features. This makes this pump actually obtainable for the majority of pumping families, which I love. I love a company that is keeping everyone in mind and doing their best to accommodate all while not skimping you out on what you're getting for the product. Replacement parts and maintenance timeframes. All of this is based on Eufy's parts, not any of the hacks, strictly Eufy. Duck bills for them are $20. You get 2 sets, so you're going to get 4 of those. Those need to be replaced every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how much you're pumping. The diaphragms, so the little U shape back here, those are $20 a set. They're set to last 1 to 3 months, again, depending on how frequently you're pumping. If you're like exclusively pumping with this, you need to be changing them once a month, and the duck bills need to be every 2 weeks. If you're doing very sporadic, a couple of times a week, then yes, you could probably get 3 months out of it. In terms of the flanges, so the heated flanges, because of all that goes into them, those are more expensive. They're about $60 a set. And then the actual cups, if anything happens with these, they're about $30 a set to replace. Flanges and cups, I'd say replace those every 3 to 6 months. Just gauge that based on the wear and tear of the actual parts. Overall, the parts are going to be more like mid-range to higher for the cost of it all, but when you factor that with the lower investment of actually getting the pump, it all balances out pretty well, and it's more of just making sure that this pump can continue to be the workhorse for you. Also, circling back around kind of to durability, but also just replacement parts and the maintenance of things. The parts do great with the bottle washers and things like that. I personally don't recommend dishwashers, but if you have an actual baby bottle and breast pump washer, those parts are doing fine in them. I haven't had any of them warp or excessively die, anything like that. Warranty is pretty standard with everybody else on the market. They give you a 12-month warranty, and then the parts are warranted for 3 months. So all pretty standard. We haven't had a single issue of them not honoring the warranty. They've done fantastic with that. As far as the next part, which is like random thoughts and rants, I think my rant is going to be that other companies need to learn how to work with the same precision as Eufy's engineers. I give mad props to the engineers over there at Eufy. They're really impressing me so far. Please don't break my heart, Eufy. But yeah, they're really setting a example in a pump market that needs an example. I'm really hoping that with their rise to the top, because right now they're absolutely setting themselves up for that it really encourages other companies like Medela, Spectra, Willow, shoot, even Momcozy. They've got parallels to Eufy. Maybe moms will actually finally get what they deserve out of the pump market and from these pump companies. So, biggest rant, don't break my heart. Keep going, Eufy. And then, yeah, companies, take notes. Take notes. Pumpables, Baby Buddha, Zomi, you're getting solid examples of how to grow to the top of the market with Eufy, and they're really laying that groundwork for y'all. So take note. Do it. If somebody else out there was wanting to bridge that gap too, do it. Fast summary and final thoughts. Overall, this is a phenomenal pump company and app. I love the app. Truly, you will not get me to overlook that because it is such a high standard to even get me to this point. This is probably the most raving review we're going to get. If something changes, then absolutely I'll do an updated review and we'll go from there. But for right now, you really cannot beat bang for buck. They have given almost everything a pumping parent could want at the most reasonable price point anybody could ask for. I think it's phenomenal. Don't forget about the hacks that can be done with it as well. Again, I'm linking Jessica's stuff down below for that. I've got a blog down below. I've got a discount code and shopping link if you want. But yeah, I mean, truly, there are far and few pumps that I can truly match with almost the majority of the standard on the market. And Eufy is one of those. So right now, it is my top contender for the majority of families. If you have the Eufy, want the Eufy, want to talk more in depth, join our Facebook community with the link down below, and we'll get you in there, chat it up, and help you with anything that you need help with. Hopefully, you walk away feeling really confident if the Eufy is the pump that you've been kind of eyeballing and looking for. I know this is an S1 Pro review, but just as an extra little tidbit, the E10 and E20, they're doing great. They all have the same solid core functions. Eufy is standing out in the market and is quickly becoming the top dog and the one to beat. Again, if you have any extra questions, leave them down in the comments below and I'm happy to get to them.